Most entrepreneurs set quarterly goals that never actually get done. You make a plan, you set the priorities, but within a few weeks, you're pulled back into the day-to-day demands of your business, and the strategic plan gets pushed aside. And the problem usually isn't the plan, it's the execution. And that's why in this video, I'm going to show you how to break your quarterly rocks or priorities into a clear step-by-step execution plan. So you always know exactly what needs to happen and by when, and who's accountable for it. And to make this even easier, I've included the full strategic planning kit. It includes the rock breakdown tracker I'll be walking you through in this video, as well as all the other tools you're going to need for an effective strategic planning process. And you'll find the link to this in the description below. But for now, let's dive in. So in this video, we're going to be creating your execution plan for the quarter section of your strategic plan. So at this point, you should have this entire quarter section filled out. And now we're going to take each of these rocks that you set, which as you can see, aren't always the most measurable because they are bigger picture projects or implementation items. So for example, just looking at this as it is, build key marketing and sales assets. If we don't go any further with this at the end of the quarter, I wouldn't really know exactly if we achieved this or not because it's not super specific in terms of the actual actions that need to be taken and achieved. So what we're going to do now is we're going to go to the rock breakdown section and create an actual critical path execution plan for achieving each of these rocks. And there's just 3 steps here. So step 1 is to prioritize each of your rocks from most important to least important, and then organize them on your strategic plan. So the most important is at the top and least important at the bottom. I'll just change the order here so they are ranked by priority. Then step 2 is to fill in the critical paths for each rock on the rock breakdown tab. And you're going to fill in each task that needs to be completed to accomplish your rock, including the person that's accountable, any resources that are needed, as well as a deadline for each task. So I'll show you what this looks like. First of all, you'll see that each of these rocks actually automatically gets plugged into this section. So if I put test rock 4 here, you'll see that it automatically shows up here from the other tab. And one thing to note is that after completing each quarter, you can hide the cells of the previous quarters so that you're keeping the current quarter plan at the top of the sheet, just to keep things clean and easy to find on a week-to-week basis. Right now, for this example, I'm working on quarter 1, so this works to have this at the top. But once I'm in quarter 2, I just can highlight all of the rows of quarter 1, and then right-click on the sidebar here, and then hide the rows. You'll get this pop-up, but just say OK. And now quarter 2 is at the top. So that's just a way to keep things clean as you're utilizing this tab. But for this exercise itself, it's fairly simple. You're going to create a critical path execution plan for each rock. So for rock 1, which is revamp sales script, you're just going to map out what are all the possible tasks that you would want to see completed for you to consider this rock to be 100% achieved. So in this example, I included review current sales script, review past sales call recordings, interview sales reps to get their feedback, develop our pitch section of the script, create the first draft of the script, sales team starts testing new script, and then having the script refined and finalizing this new version of the sales script. That's just a simple example of creating a critical path for the rock. Then you do the same thing for rock 2 and then rock 3. Once you've done that, then you're going to want to, for each task, set who on your team is accountable. If you're the owner of the company and you don't have a business partner or any senior management or executive team members, then you're probably going to be accountable for all of them. But if you do have an executive team, then you would want to define who is accountable for each task. And just because you're accountable doesn't mean you have to do it all, but this is just who's bottom lining it. Who is the person who is making sure that this crosses the finish line and this task is completed by the deadline. Then if there's any additional resources or people needed, you plug it in here. And then finally, you'll want to set a deadline for when the task is going to be completed by. I like to do it based on week ending. So the January 8th is the Sunday. So this means that this task is going to be completed during the week
that ends on January 8th. And then I also like to organize the tasks by deadline so that it's a clear critical path of what needs to be completed first. So for example, if I just brain dump all of the tasks and then I put the dates, and let's say that these are out of order, then what you can do is just highlight the whole section, go to data, sort range, go advanced range sorting options. And then you're going to want to sort by column D because that's the column that has the dates in it. And then go sort. And now it's reordered them so that everything is in the right order based on the deadline. So you're just going to go through this process for each of the rocks that you've set, go through one at a time. And this is going to allow you to turn these bigger picture, perhaps a bit vague rocks that you set into a very specific plan that you can execute on week by week. And you're going to want to review this plan at least once a week to make sure you're staying on track. And then you can continue to check off the boxes once you complete a task. And then you can keep track of how you're progressing towards each of your main priorities for the quarter. And then the final step in terms of creating your execution plan is that once you've completed your first cut critical path for each of your rocks, you're going to want to take a high level view of your entire quarterly plan and ask yourself if you realistically have the time and resources available for everything you've laid out. So you're going to want to look at all of the goals and priorities that you set, taking a more detailed view of everything that you're going to actually need to do to achieve your rocks this quarter, and then be realistic with, is it actually going to be achievable? And keep in mind that you're not just working on these rocks, you're also operating your business and doing everything else you'd normally be doing in your business. Plus, you're working on these bigger picture priorities. So keep that in mind. The biggest mistake I see when people first start doing strategic planning is they bite off more than they can chew, and they end up committing to way too much and then end up getting less done than if they would have just been realistic with what's actually possible over the next quarter. Don't think you need to get everything done right now. Building a business takes time. Realistically, it takes years. But think about it. If you just implement 2 to 3 new key systems or processes or long-term projects every single quarter, that's 8 to 12 new systems or processes that you've implemented over the course of a year, which means your business is going to be completely transformed over the course of that year. Do that 2, 3, 4, 5 years in a row, and you can just imagine where your business is going to be. But when people overcommit and spread themselves too thin with this, oftentimes you end up getting a little bit of a bunch of things done. And then at the end of the year, you don't have a whole lot to show for it because you didn't really just prioritize and put first things first. So that's the final step here. Take a realistic view of what you can actually accomplish. And if it feels like you'd be committing to too much, then adjust accordingly. And perhaps 1 or 2 of your rocks can be moved to the following quarter instead. So that's it for this process here, completing your execution plan.
Okay, so now that you know how to build your quarterly execution plan, don't forget to download the free strategic planning kit using the link in the description below. It includes the full rock breakdown tracker that I just walked you through, plus all the templates you need to plan and execute your quarterly priorities with clarity and focus. And I'll be releasing more videos to help you scale your business, streamline your operations, and stay on track with your goals. So make sure to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you don't miss them. And I'll see you over in the next one.